Le Premier ministre.
Not exactly resounding applause for France's third Prime Minister in a year. Francois Bayrou, a former teacher and farmer who's had more luck herding children and cows than MPs. Today was his last-ditch attempt to save his job. Left, he said, with no choice but to offer himself up to a confidence vote. Why? To break the political deadlock which has dogged the government since last summer's inconclusive National Assembly elections.
Mesdames et messieurs les députés,
far-right and far-left National Assembly members joined forces to oppose Monsieur Bayrou, outnumbering conservatives and centrists who'd prefer to keep him in place. President Macron faces political paralysis to the end of his term, whoever serves now as Prime Minister. But he said that he'll stay in office till that term expires in 2027. Macron still struts the global stage as a chief Trump whisperer with questionable results and a keystone of the pro-Ukraine alliance. But within France, he is deeply unpopular and increasingly powerless, unable to fix the issue that he's been obsessed with for years, France's colossal debt crisis. Remember the Gilets jaunes that ran riot in central Paris? That was the reaction then to a small step towards reducing the debt mountain. Francois Bayrou has fallen on the same hill. He wanted to introduce an austerity program which would have cut 44 billion euros from government spending, alongside abolishing 2 public holidays. Debt is a common Western affliction, so how bad is France's? Government debt in France currently stands at 114.1% of national income. That is the third highest in the European Union. Only Greece and Italy are higher. Germany, by contrast, stands at just over 62%. In Paris, market traders and customers here are as divided about a remedy as the deputies in the National Assembly.
Come back in 10 days and you'll see nothing will have changed. There won't be a majority, there'll be no budget. Why? Because France is torn apart. It's over. I
think the vote of confidence was requested a little too quickly now, because his policies haven't yet produced any results. I think it's inevitable he'll be removed.
Waiting in the wings, the far-right National Rally, who thought they ought to be running France after last year's hastily called and inconclusive assembly elections.
Le 10 septembre, on bloque tout.
And then there's Bloqué 2, an online movement that is bound to descend onto the streets, scheduled to be deployed on Wednesday when a general strike is planned with mass demonstrations. The mission, let's pull the brakes on France. Arguably, politics is already doing just that. Well, joining me now from Paris is the French MP Nathalie Oziol from the left-wing party France Unbowed, which is part of the bloc of opposition left-of-centre parties. Nathalie, good to have you back on the programme. So you've got your scalp. Bayrou is gone, a crushing defeat. What now?
Yeah, that's the big question, actually. It's the second government which fell in less than a year. But this was inevitable because after the snap elections, which took place last July 2024, Emmanuel Macron decided not to respect the vote by appointing far-right prime ministers and a Macronist prime minister. So obviously, because he didn't respect the vote, his prime ministers, his governments, were not legitimate. So now what I say is, enough with this. There is one person in France who's responsible for the situation, the critical situation. It's Emmanuel Macron himself. So now it's time for him to leave.
You tweeted tonight or posted tonight, Bayrou has fallen. As you just said, time for Macron to follow. But he's not going to, is he? He has said that he will stay till the end of his term in 2027. There's really very little that can unseat him right now.
Well, we'll see about that, because, you know, he also said that this government was supposed to last for a little longer. And then when Bayrou asked for this confidence vote, well, as you could see, he fell and he was toppled. And again, well, we had snap elections, a new configuration in parliament. We had 2 governments, a third one in a few days. nobody believes that the problem will be solved. And you listen. Well, I listen to the people being interviewed. They don't believe that either.
Right.
So what else is there to do? Well, for instance, early presidential elections.
Okay, but the problem is also France's mushrooming debt. As you heard in the piece, 114% of economic output. I mean, that is absolutely massive. The third highest debt in the EU. Macron has been trying to deal with it for years. He has failed. Barnier failed last year. Bayrou has failed now. You're going to have to get it under control somehow, aren't you?
Yes. And apparently Macron is unable to do so. He has also
Because
increased because of himself, because he decided to get obstinated in his political decisions, never to listen to any other proposition. We have propositions. For instance, re-establishing the solidarity tax on wealth. That would be a proposition. That would be something new. You know, it was revoked. It used to exist in France. And this is a loss in money income in France. If we re-establish this tax on wealth people, this would be 4 billion euros, the same amount of money that the slashing of 2 holidays, which Bayrou proposed, was supposed to bring in. So why not choose a fair social measure, solidarity from the wealthy people to the rest of society?
Just finally, Nathalie, I mean, we have a similar debate in this country. There's an election in Norway that's dominated by debate over a wealth tax. This is a common theme. But in France in particular, if you keep toppling governments, the next president of your country is not going to be Jean-Luc Mélenchon of your party. It's going to be someone called Marine Le Pen or Jordan Bardella of the far right.
How do you know? You can see the future. You know, 27 polls. 27 polls out of 27 announced that the National Rally, the far-right party, would win the snap elections last July. Well, it didn't happen. So we are ready for early presidential elections. And I believe that since one person alone has decided he's able to decide about everything, has failed to bring solutions, well, the fair measure, the fair decision would be to let the people decide in France.